Welcome to the Dark Night Podcast with tap dance artist Andrew Nemmer and Pastor Mike Freeman, exploring St. John of the Cross's seminal work, The Dark Night of the Soul. Listen to their conversations as Andrew spiritually prepares for his groundbreaking 12-hour overnight performance, Dark Night.
All right, for years I'd sit at David Roper's table. He was, he was an elder for years at Cole Community.
Okay.
And he ran he called it Idaho Mountain Ministries. And so I sat at his table with a bunch of other Treasure Valley pastors once a month, called it the Boise Bunch. Okay. He'd read a passage or a section of a book, and then he would just say, okay, so what do you guys see? Yeah. And then he wouldn't say another word until someone said something, which he said was the key. So,
what a question.
Yeah. So, Andrew, what do you see?
Oh, man. So, I guess there's two things. So, overarching.
Yes.
The dark, secure, secret ladder.
Yes. Yes.
And I thought it felt like the first time, but I don't think this was the first time that he said he was going to do a thing and he actually did it. Mm-hmm. Like he went in for a term or an idea and it was like clearly defined. And by the end of the chapter, it's like,
yeah,
oh yeah,
yeah,
I can totally see that and sit
with
it. And I don't know if it has to do with the fact that we're this far in.
Yeah.
And he's laid such kind of a broad and meandering foundation that you're like, oh, now the specifics make sense.
Right.
I don't know if this was chapter 1, if I would have been like, oh, thank you.
Right. Kind of like a glossary.
Yeah.
Definition of terms.
Right.
Yeah.
At the end,
like,
now we're getting there.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. I think you're right. Very much so. It felt gratifying to me.
Yeah.
It was just like, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Go ahead though.
No. So I put a comment in the margin. This whole paragraph, and it was this is, where are we in? Chapter 16, part 7. And I'm skipping over a bunch of good stuff, but where he says, therefore, O spiritual soul, when thou seest thy desire obscured, thy affections arid and constrained, and thy faculties bereft of their capacity for any interior exercise, be not afflicted by this, but rather consider it a great happiness, since God is freeing thee from thyself and taking the matter from thy hands. For with those hands, however well they may serve thee, thou wouldst never labor so effectively, so perfectly, and so securely, because of their clumsiness and uncleanness, as now, when God takes thy hand and guides thee in the darkness, as though thou wert blind, to an end and by a way which thou knowest not, nor couldst thou ever hope to travel with the aid of thine own eyes and feet, howsoever good thou be as a walker.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, that's a mouthful.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it
makes sense.
It felt like he was talking to me.
Yeah.
Like, oh, spiritual soul. Oh, yeah. Okay, I'm listening now. Yes, please. Tell me exactly what you mean. Because some of this, I think, I don't know if you do this. I try and place myself. Mm-hmm. Like, am I where he's talking about, or am I somewhere else?
Well, yeah, I think it's natural to try to find yourself in this. I mean, otherwise it's, we don't have a point of reference. So I think that is, we're trying to see, can I identify with what he's talking about? Where am I in relation to this, and vice versa? But yeah.
And so I just resonated with that whole thing.
Yes.
And how easy it is to think that the spiritual life is an ascent to knowledge. It's like, oh yeah, I know how to do this now. Cool. And just kind of lead yourself on your own.
Yes.
Very quickly. And how it seems like what St. John is talking about here is regardless of how much we know or can do or can think we can do, this is something different.
Yes.
And it's
and that's going to get in your way.
Yeah.
It's going to hinder you. It's like, well, it's like, and I might have made this comment before, that so often I sit with people in here, and as they are laying out their questions, their problems, or whatever, it becomes very clear that, okay, we actually have a really big problem here. You know too much scripture. If I could somehow, if I could just be Michael in the good place and just snap my fingers and just clear your memory of, let's just scrub all that scripture from there, because you've got it there. And instead of being a lens through which it's actually helping you to see, it's becoming a blockage. It's making you myopic, and you can't, knowledge puffs up, love builds up.
Yeah.
And that whole paragraph you just read is summarized really nicely by it's not quite the final line in section 8, but it's the last towards the end there. When the soul is making most progress, it is traveling in darkness, knowing not. And that's up to page 155 up at the top there. Wherefore, since God, as we have said, is the master and guide of this blind soul, it may well and truly rejoice once it has learned to understand this and say, in darkness and secure. And it's like, okay. And so this to me, because you talk about overarching, this to me was the place, because I don't remember if it was part of the recorded conversation or not. It might have been, but I think it was afterwards, because you said you cheated and you looked ahead.
Yeah, I did.
To see, because it's like you're just finally getting to parsing things out a little bit here. And it's like, I can feel how thin the rest of this is. So, is it just suddenly boom, 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 boom?
Right.
And it's like, no, he doesn't get there. He doesn't parse this whole thing out.
He doesn't make it.
But so remembering that, what I found myself doing is doing the overarching thing, because I went ahead and, I pulled the poem back out.
Oh yeah.
And as I read these, and it was those 3 words in particular.
Oh.
What was it's ladder and secret. What's the other one?
Secure.
Darkness.
Darkness. Secure,
That's right. Yes.
Secret ladder.
Yes.
Yeah.
So security, and then secret, and then the ladder. Particularly as he parsed those and put them in place, and in that discussion, and I thought, okay, I thought about that comment that he's not going to have time to do this for the whole thing. But then I just looked at the poem, and read it again, and it's like, well, this has been a little while since I actually read the poem. Of course, now I need to find there's my Dark Night of the Soul. There we are, right there. Okay. So I read this, and what he's parsed. Because we have on a dark night, inflamed by yearning, oh exquisite risk, undetected, I slip away, my house at last grown still. Now he's worked through that. Right. Secure in the darkness, I climbed the secret ladder in disguise. Oh exquisite risk, concealed by the darkness, my house at last grown still. And I don't know if he's going to get beyond there, but does he have to? Because the next stanzas, that sweet night, a secret. Nobody saw me. I did not see a thing. Blind, right?
Yeah.
I did not see a thing. No other light, no other guide than the one burning in my heart. He doesn't need to explicate this.
Right. He's laid the foundation.
Yes. Yeah. It's like the rest of it unfolds right through here. This light led the way more clearly than the risen sun to where he was waiting for me, the one I knew so intimately, in a place where no one could find us. Oh, night that guided me. Oh, night sweeter than sunrise. Oh, night that joined lover with beloved, lover transformed in beloved. Upon my blossoming breast, which which I cultivated just for him. He drifted into sleep, and while I caressed him, a cedar breeze touched the air. Wind blew down from the tower, parting the locks of his hair. With his gentle hand, he wounded my neck, and all my senses were suspended. I lost myself, forgot myself. I lay my face against my beloved's face. Everything fell away, and I left myself behind, abandoning my cares among the lilies forgotten. He doesn't need to explicate any of this.
Yeah.
We don't need a verse by verse.
No, you don't.
Because when you unpack just those first two stanzas, or I guess it would actually be the first two stanzas, and that's where it clicked for me, because I was thinking, gosh, it'd be nice, and it's like, no, it doesn't have to do this. This unpacks everything. Once you understand, secure in the darkness, I climbed the secret ladder in disguise, the exquisite risk concealed by darkness, my house at last grown still. Once you have that concept, the rest of this is it's just painting the picture in full.
Yeah.
And it doesn't need explication. So that actually was like, now what else are you going to talk about in here? It's like, right. Well, okay, you're just going to be St. John of the Cross, and but I'm still looking forward to it. But that for me was the golden moment, I think.
Cool.
This week was, it truly was this overarching, where I saw the entire poem and the flow of it. And I remember reading this poem when we started 6 months ago, and it was just like,
Your expression is priceless right now.
Okay, I see some things here, but that was it. And now it's like, whoa, I get this now. I understand what he's talking about now. Now, that's not to say that me and St. John of the Cross are homies, that I've got this, but it's like I have tasted enough here, and I understand what he is saying on an experiential level enough to the rest of this makes sense, and I don't need it's like the disciples. Now you're no longer speaking in figures of speech. Now you're speaking plainly. Which anyway, so that was the cool thing this week.
Well, and that strikes me that they're like, I wonder how much of that expression from the disciples had to do with where they had gotten to, as much as like how Jesus had changed his actual speech.
Right. Oh, definitely. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Thinking of it in the context of the Upper Room Discourse, I know I've read that for years, and I've thought, wait a minute.
Like, what changed?
Yeah, I know.
Right?
I don't know. Now, of course, he's a little off-putting. Now do you understand?
Right.
I tell you the truth. Yeah, basically, you're all a bunch of losers who are going to run away. Like scared little children, like scared little sheep tonight. You're going to be scattered. But I'm not left alone. The Father is with me. So it's a little bit off-putting. So beware of saying, now I see it, Master. Yeah, I don't know if we want to say that too loud. But I do see, John, what you're talking about here.
Yeah.
And this makes sense. And I don't need you to hold my hand through this, because it fits. I understand the flow of this. I feel the flow of this, which took some doing to get there.
Yeah.
All these
100%.
conversations and pressing into this, but having done so, so that was, yeah. Like I said, it's like I'm not sure what we have the rest of this. I mean, it's 5 a.m. right now, right? So I don't know. The last 2 hours,
right?
Well, we'll be pleasantly surprised, I'm sure. But it was just like, there it is.
Yeah,
there it is. So this was extremely satisfying.
Gratifying read. Yeah.
It felt like
that's
a culmination,
cool.
Which was really, really cool.
It strikes me that, so the idea of secretness and the kind of being touched by something that you can't really put words around without feeling like it diminishes the thing that you're trying to explain, and the idea of the ladder where it's like stepwise, but you're like there is an ascent, but it's not achievement oriented, and it's
Yes.
being guided by someone else, and there's all these things that are not. It's not like the corporate ladder that we would think of necessarily.
Oh, right, yes.
But the as we're talking, the idea of securely is like Saint John of the Cross talking about attachment theory hundreds of years before
Yes,
attachment theory becomes a thing.
yes,
And knowing how important that is in the context of something like this, where if you're drawn into an experience where you are blinded, there's new things all around that you don't know what's going on, and there isn't a conception of God that is secure. Or maybe your conception is like, well, he's a little scary. Like it's not a secure relationship. The navigation or the experience of the Dark Knight can be one of horror rather than joy or happy chance.
yes.
And I think that to me was like, it really is about the relationship.
Yes.
Like that's a core function and the quality of that rather than knowledge of it, maybe.
Yes. Well, and the knowledge of it, again, that tends to blind us to it. It becomes a barrier.
Yeah.
And honestly, when I said earlier, I don't know how many times it's, I've had that impasse with someone, and it's like, I wish I could help you, but it's like you know too much scripture, and it's just getting in your way.
And for you in those experiences, because I've coached people, right, and they're it wouldn't necessarily be scripture for them. It'd be like another fundamental belief of some sort.
Yes.
Right? And so in your experience, is that like an interpretation thing or just the way they've put those things in place?
You know, what I think this would be is, because what strikes me now, because as soon as you said is you've coached people, I immediately think of you coaching people on the dance floor.
Right.
But you might be talking more like life coaching
both.
and such. But what I realize is there's an immediate parallel, because I've seen this likewise play out over and over and over again on the dance floor, specifically when we're dealing with instruction.
Yeah.
People are coming for instruction.
Yep.
And the fact is they are detached, they are even offended or frustrated, and the root of that frustration is 9 times out of 10 it's not that they don't know anything. Those people usually are like they're soaking, and they're sucking this up.
Yeah.
It's people who come in thinking they know more than they really do, and what they think they know is preventing them from actually opening up to receive something new. It's the beginner's mind.
Right.
That's a Buddhist concept, isn't it? I mean, specifically beginner's mind. I mean, I don't know if that's a spiritual formation thing or, but I see.
I've heard it in
that
like learning theory,
Buddhism. Which I know we talked about this, especially outside of these sessions. Yeah. That when we're reading this, it can sound like that we, that basically Christianity has copyright, trademark ownership of the Dark Knight and all of this, and so therefore, all of ye outside of the official bounds of Christendom, alas, you will just be gnawing your teeth in anger and pain, and this is a universal path that's applicable to all humanity, and I believe Christ is sown wide in the world, and he shows up for us, maybe not explicitly, but implicitly, not overtly saying, "My name is Jesus. Here's my business card. Confess the name."
Sometimes he does that.
He does what he did on earth. He does on earth now through us and amongst us. He shows up and he's touching people. He is bringing wholeness without announcing his name, his nature, or requiring either of those for this impact to take place. And so when I'm thinking in beginner's mind, this is a concept which is not unique to to John 3 when Jesus said you must be born again. But Nicodemus would be a prime example.
Yep.
Nicodemus, you're the teacher of Israel.
Yeah, and you don't know.
And you don't know these things. Yeah. Now, he has a conversation, the next page, with a woman who's an outcast and knows absolutely nothing.
Right. She
gets it.
Yep.
He does not. And there's a lesson there. And I think that's exactly what we're talking about, is that it's, Nicodemus had nothing to draw with. The woman didn't have anything either. Yeah. But she knew it. But Nicodemus thought he had something.
Yeah.
And
he stood on what he knew, what he thought he knew, what he had invested in what he thought he knew, and the life that he had given his position on account of what he thought he knew.
Right.
Right? Like all those things. And I think that ends up starting to point to, if you hold on to your life, you're going to lose it. You're going to miss the new thing. And if you let go of your life or give up your life, then you'll get the new thing.
Right.
And, it's analogy and metaphor, but I think that
no, I think that's exactly, that is the whole point, which that is the kind of a statement, that's such an Eastern statement. It's so Eastern. It's not even funny how Eastern that is. Which of course reminds us, where'd this come from? Oh, from the East. Yeah. The Jesus movement is an Eastern movement. Okay, but there's a story, and I will usually change this to at least a rabbi and somebody seeking to be his talmid. But I think it's originally told. It's like a monk. Who is being sought out, guru who's being sought out by someone who's looking for enlightenment. Okay. And he comes and he sits down, he finds him in his holy spot, in Tibet or wherever. And so the spiritual master, he sets out a cup and is going to pour tea. Okay. And so he begins pouring, and the cup is filled, and but he doesn't stop. It's flowing everywhere, and the would-be disciple is saying, whoa. I mean, and he said, yes, you see the problem. This is you. You are already so full that anything I pour into you is just going to flow out onto the ground and be wasted. And that is the principle. I mean, that's what we're talking about. And that's where the purgation of soul, the aridity of spirit, all of this. It sounds like we're just flagellating ourselves as we, punishing ourselves, and this has got to be like the extreme asceticism of desert fathers and mothers. And it's like, no. This is a universal human principle. If we are not emptied, we cannot be filled. Yeah. And John, with the dark night of the soul, is talking about the ultimate human emptying that opens us for the fullness of the divine. Yeah. And that's, all of these lines are a celebration. And I love the fact that this basically, this is like his poetic rumination on a couple of lines from the Song of Solomon, essentially. And so we have the lover and the beloved, and he's explicating that, and there's got to be an emptiness. If you're just adding this love on top of all the other loves. Yeah. And once you see that, well, then you see it everywhere. You certainly see it everywhere in Scripture. You see it in all the pages of the New Testament. You see John as he talks about love not the world, for all that is in the world, lust of the flesh, lust of the eyes, vainglory of life, not of the Father does, but is of the world, and so forth. Again, we have so much. It's the seed that falls among the thorns, and the thorns grow up and they choke it, and so forth. So you just begin to see it everywhere. The great emptying has to precede the filling. Yeah. But most of us, we just want an enhancement of that with which we're already filled.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think so. It sounds to me like we're touching on this idea of like what is actual change, or what is actually something new. It's not just more of what we're used to, but better, quote unquote. It's literally something that we don't know.
Yes.
Which brings to mind Nassim Taleb. He wrote the Black Swan. And
right. Yes.
He's effectively like I mean, he does stuff around risk management because it's probabilities, right? And this idea that for whatever vision of scope of possibility we can see, there are always things that we can't know of that are likely to happen. And if we structure our lives or make choices that protect against those,
Yes.
not necessarily move towards the things we want, right? If we're just protecting against the thing that is impossible, right? Like they can't even see, we'll be okay. We'll be generally okay. And so I started reading his books at the beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic. And it was really interesting to read those ideas in the middle of something that everybody was saying, this is completely new. We've never had to deal with anything like this. Who knows what's going to happen? And,
Yes.
Everybody was, it seemed like most people were blinded to what the reality was, what was actually happening, what choices were available, and what things could be good.
Yeah.
And to have that other voice in the midst of that was like, oh, okay, there's a way to navigate that is good even when we can't see things.
Right.
And I think, one of the things that I keep, I don't know if it's scratching for or thinking about, in light of the fact that, we're talking now, I'm a couple weeks after the 12-hour event for Dark Knight, and so I have a physical sense of what it felt like, an hour, 2 a.m., 3 a.m. It's like, what is still possible, even if all the other faculties are not there anymore? Can you still make a loving choice? Can you still have consideration for another person? And if that's still possible, then even though your senses are blind, your spirit has run dry, like those are choices that are still available. And I feel like even in the smallest choice in that direction, we begin to touch like the light and the heat that's active in the darkness that St. John of the Cross talks about, like the log that's being consumed. And having a sense of engagement in that, for me, is like, oh, I'm not useless here. I'm not kind of thrown on the sidelines or unable to do anything necessarily, because time moves on and we still live through our days, even if they seem darker. But it's like really tiny choice. Is that still possible? And I think if the answer is yes, then it feels like that feels like a moment of turning, where in the midst of the suffering and in the midst of all the things that come with this, the second half of the book becomes more of a reality. Because there's very little else left, I think.
Well, did you see anything else? I mean, there was, there were a couple other things. Just.
Oh,
I actually really like this progression. I mean, it's back at the start of 16. Yeah, I just underlined it. Imagination is bound, memory is gone, understanding is in darkness. The will likewise is arid, faculties are void and useless. Thick and heavy cloud is upon the soul.
yeah.
It's like, well, there you go.
Yeah, there's the footnote in the Pierce translation after he says, as keeping it in affliction and as it were far away from God. He says, some have considered this description exaggerated.
Yes.
Like, yeah, okay.
But it must be borne in mind that all souls are not tested alike, which is huge. This is true. The saint is writing of those whom God has willed to raise to such sanctity that they drain the cup of bitterness to the dregs.
Yeah. Well, and that goes back to like who, and this is probably a harder thing to walk through, but who are we with when this is happening?
Yeah.
And who's allowing it to happen? And
Yeah.
can I maintain a vision of God that is good in the midst of the suffering that I'm going through?
Right.
That I attribute to him guiding me through this.
Yeah.
Like part of me wants to go, that's hard.
Yeah. Yes.
Forget the actual suffering. That's hard.
Yes.
But I think that's kind of the point, right? It's like, that's part of what's happening in the middle of this.
Yeah.
Is a formation of who we see God as, so that we can entrust our lives to them in this.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
I actually got a little chuckle, and I thought of you with the word refulgence.
Oh, refulgence. Where was that?
This is further in. This is page 156. But he's talking about, the light of God, and about midway through the page, God brings them even nearer to himself, and thus that which in God is supreme light and refulgence is to man blackest darkness. I thought that was a good word.
That is a good word. Yeah, that's delightful. It keeps coming back, and even with that, let's see how many, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so it was, that progression of 6, the imagination bound, memory gone, understanding of darkness. To me, that's like peeling off the layers of being poor in spirit.
Yeah.
With each of these. It's all this, it's the descent. I mean, if the latter is a means of ascending or descending, I mean, both are involved.
Yeah.
And we tend to just be focused on, I think from our cultural perspective, a ladder is what gets us up to something. And so it is about promotion, it's about achievement, it's about success, rather than seeing it as something which involves a descent. And Paul talks about how the one who ascended is the one who descended into the lower parts of the earth. And this one who descended is the one who ascended higher than all the heavens, that he might fill the whole universe. And so it's that complementary motion. But we tend to disregard on a practical level the descent. In a lot of ways, the Dark Night of the Soul is an explication of the descent.
Yeah.
Where we're having all of this stripped off of us. It's kind of like the well, okay, I had a couple of different films flash before my eyes. Yeah, actually, two of them, mostly, both of them involve space travel. I mean, they're science fiction. but one is Interstellar, where you have Matthew McConaughey's character was Coop, where he goes into the black hole, which is not a bad metaphor for a Dark Night of the Soul. Black hole, intense gravitational pull, pull into it and so forth. But he detaches because, as he summarizes Newton's second law of thermodynamics, you have to leave something behind. Purgation, right?
Yeah.
And so he literally is what has to be purged here. And he has no idea what he's signing up for. He doesn't know what this, which again is
newness. Yeah.
The ignorance.
Yep.
Blind. I'm going in blind to this. And he's trying to describe it. And then of course, ultimately, as he's going into this, there are no more controls.
Right.
Yeah. He is being carried, and everything is literally being stripped off of the ship as he goes in, and then you hear the voice. What was it? Was it eject, 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 and then he ejects, and then ultimately it's just him.
Yeah.
There's no ship.
Right.
There's nothing, and there's no sound. It's just him, and it's like he's free falling in darkness.
Yeah.
Now you think about that picture. Just watch that scene with a view towards Dark Night of the Soul, and I think it provides a rather exquisite picture. And then of course ultimately he goes into, and this is where you get all of Christopher Nolan's time warping magic, where he's in what they call the Tesseract, where you have you have time split into all of these layers all around him, right? And so, and that just starts, I'm like Chidi in The Good Place, stomach ache, it's like, but the point is, that's what this journey is about. Yeah. We think we're in control. He's even trying to narrate this as he goes.
Right.
And ultimately, nah.
But it strikes me that the narration functions for the start of it.
Yes.
Right? For whatever catalytic event gets you in.
Yes.
But once you're in, you're kind of like, I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. Well, there's this beautiful line as he detaches from the ship, and so you see. I'm trying to remember the name of. I can't remember the name of the main vessel, which was it was set up like a clock. It was just so beautiful. Cool. But as he pulls away from that, and then he says, "I'm now moving on to the event horizon," and it's like, I would love to have those words in my consciousness when I am detaching and moving into the realm of death.
Oh God!
I am moving towards the event horizon, and it's just that. But that is Dark Night of the Soul.
Yeah.
And the second film, which is like unto it, would be Contact with Jodie Foster. Matthew McConaughey also in this one. There might be a spiritual connection there. I don't know. All right. There just might be. But the fact is they get these. They get the plans, some sort of blueprints that are coming in on a radio wave from deep space.
Yep.
And we're supposed to build this thing, but we don't know what this thing is. Maybe they're asking us to build a weapon that's going to destroy us. Ha ha.
Right.
But it's not making sense. They finally realize, this is like a 3-dimensional thing. And what's beautiful is when Jodie Foster gets in this, they added a chair.
Huh.
They added a chair that's bolted into this thing, and she's strapped into the chair. That was not part of the design.
Yeah,
but they could not conceive.
Right.
How can you can't just put a person in an empty ball and then have it slingshot into the universe.
Yeah. This can't work.
Exactly.
Can't work that way.
So we're going to add and modify the design with our sight and our knowledge. And so she's strapped into this thing, and as she's going in, it's the same thing. She, of course, is the hardened scientist, the rational atheist, and so forth. And so again, she's like narrating the whole journey, and it's just a beautiful thing when the the reverberations
Yeah.
are becoming so strong, and she's just like, okay, we're in another wormhole. And then she sees it was actually I mean, what was it? It was a compass from a Cracker Jack. It was a Cracker Jack compass that McConaughey's character had given her, and she sees it floating so effortlessly in front of her, and she just suddenly realizes, wait, I could just do that. And so she gets out of the chair,
Yep.
and now she's floating, and then that chair just, boom, and then it's silent, and now she sees, and it's she said, she's still trying to describe it. She says, there's some sort of celestial event,
Yeah.
and then she just says, no words,
Yeah.
no words. And she just says, beautiful. And it was actually, my son Brandon pointed out, after I'd seen it probably about like the third time, he said, Dad, did you notice what they did with her face at that moment? And I said, no. And so I watched it, and I thought, well, it's just like her face brightened. And it's like, no, Dad, slow it down. And so he slowed it down, and it's like, oh my gosh, they changed Jodie Foster's face to the child, the face of the actress that played her as a child looking at the stars.
Oh my goodness.
She transforms into her, I don't know if it was, she was 8 years old or what, but it's the face of the child of wonder.
Yeah.
When she says, it's so beautiful. And she says, they should have sent a poet. Yeah. And that's the territory of Dark Night of the Soul.
Yeah.
It's like, again, everything that we have used to strap ourselves in, to give ourselves control, which I think would be, what better image and metaphor for our theological constructs and systems that we bolt in to what's meant to be more of a free-floating journey of exploration, where we suddenly have celestial events opening before our eyes, than our theological constraints, which we are, which are artificial. They could be helpful. I mean, I think seatbelts are a beautiful thing if you're in a car.
Yeah.
But it's a. So those are the two images that come to mind. The intersection of Hollywood and Saint John with the Dark Night of the Soul. Yeah.
Those are beautiful.
Oh my gosh.
And I think there's it's just it strikes me that the ideas themselves, like whether we take a theological idea, whatever it might be, if we hold tightly to it for the sake of safety, for example, our journey of exploration will then require us to potentially loosen our grip to that,
right,
for the sake of whatever is new or next, right, and to honor the secrecy bit and not talk about the things that we can't really talk about, but to look at the St. John of the Cross's description of the ladder, where we're always going up and down, and we're never in one state for whatever an extended period of time actually means. But there is the humility of having to let go of something that we've held on to for a period, for the sake of a new revelation, for the sake of something that ultimately is supposed to be better than what we've had. But and then if and I think the caveat is, if the context is in this like reality, in a reality where God is love, and where there's the person that you surrender to has your like wants the best for you, like wants a life, a full life for you, then humility isn't like a shameful condemnation. It's just saying, I don't know.
Yeah.
And the exaltation that comes after that, like the climbing up of the ladder, is an experience that you can't really talk about. It's like there aren't words for it.
Yes.
And then you go back to, well, I don't really know. And then you go back up to like, oh, well, this is a reality and it's a thing. And you're like, I don't. And then the things that we don't, the things that we have held on to, if we let go of them in this context, I think it becomes less of a roller coaster and less of a fight.
Yes.
And more of a dance, more of a, okay, this is the thing that's opening up. This is the thing that I can feel tension against. How do I not rely on this thing that I'm holding for this corner of my reality? How do I take that corner of my reality? And I mean, I love the idea that St. John of the Cross says, the ladder is leaned up against God.
Yes.
And so how do I take this corner of my reality and kind of like throw it up on the ladder?
Yes.
And, move, like ever expand the amount of my life that is hid in Christ.
Yeah.
Until I guess that point where it's like, how are you doing? I don't know. You tell me. I'm fine not being that self-reflective at the moment.
Just how metaphysical do you want me to get in my response?
Right. Oh, man.
Oh, my goodness. There's one thing I did want to comment on.
Yes.
Before, I've got a little bit of time here yet. And that was, because again, I like to follow, every reference he has is ultimately a trailhead that it has some potential exploration there. And it was as he was, let me see if I can find it. Okay, it's 17, explains how this dark contemplation is secret.
Yes.
All right. So here again, he's kind of bringing this to a head. Three things have to be expounded with reference to three words contained in the present line. Two, namely secret and ladder, belong to the dark night of contemplation, of which we're treating. The third, namely disguise, belongs to the soul by reason of the manner wherein it conducts itself in this night. Mm-hmm. And then he dives in, second paragraph. First, it describes this dark contemplation as secret, since, as we've indicated above, it is a mystical theology, which the theologians call secret wisdom, and which, as St. Thomas says, is communicated and infused into the soul through love.
Oh, I love
this
that
happens secretly and in darkness, so as to be hidden from the work of the understanding and of other faculties. So in other words, it's not something that's intellectually grasped as much as it is soulishly absorbed. And so I'm thinking, first of all, I'm thinking of Paul, when he says that our hope does not disappoint us because the love of God has been poured out into our hearts by the Holy Spirit whom he has given to us. And I was thinking all my years, okay, so I'm back to contact with the theological construct in which we're strapped into this chair, where we had that was like way too free-floating. The love of God poured out into our hearts by the Holy Spirit. And because we'd so intellectualized the whole thing, it was like gospel facts that communicate the love. Yeah. And so it was so brainy and grainy that ultimately we couldn't just receive this and float with this. And it led me to look into, and I was thinking, wait a minute, what's that Hebrew word for secret? And it was, I remember I think it's, which one is it? Which rabbi on this shelf? That sounds weird. So if I have different rabbis on the shelf. Yeah,
They're
there's
books.
Rabbi Heschel over
know
there,
they're
Rabbi
books.
Sachs over here. But it's actually, oh gosh, it is, Lawrence Kushner. Lawrence
Okay.
Kushner. Okay. And I've seen this explicated in other places, but in one of his books, I think it's in Eyes Were Made for Wonder, which is also not a bad subtitle for Dark Night of the Soul. It's Eyes Were Made for Wonder, but which I think goes back to Heschel saying, I asked for wonder, and he gave it to me.
Oh, wow.
But he's talking about navigating Torah as a rabbi, because again, we're not there is no copyright which Christianity can take, because Christianity is not original. I mean, we're not original. We're just a wild shoot that's been, we've been grafted into something that's very ancient, and there's ancient sap coming up through us, and I call that Hebrew spirituality, it's God's spirituality. But anyway, okay, I feel like I'm going too deep, but he says in navigating Torah, that it's like every word in Scripture is a pardes, is a paradise, and that becomes an acronym. It seems like there's the parash, which is your initial reading, which is kind of a surface reading,
Sure.
and then there's the remes, which is the hint. It's like now we're getting down, but you finally get to that last level of the samech, which is the sod. And sod is that Hebrew word for secret.
Oh,
which
cool.
which repeatedly, it pops up throughout the Hebrew text, in Proverbs, Psalms, and the prophets, and so forth. And so I looked up sod, and sod, actually the trilateral Hebrew root, it means to establish or to support, specifically in the context of, it's kind of what the back of this chair is doing for me.
Oh.
It gets me in a place where I can now sit here like this with you.
Yeah.
We're both supported.
By the chair.
So that we can engage in conversation. It's just then it was more putting the pillows.
Sure.
Because they were reclining.
Yeah.
And so it's getting those pillows where you are supported, and now here we are together, you and I. Having conversation.
Yeah.
And that's where the sod. So the sod comes in the context of a divan or a reclining couch. We've got food on the table, and we're both supported and comfortable, so we're actually able then, without distraction, to enter into intimate conversation. And that's the sod. Sod is the intimate conversation. It's the thing that's secret. And like in Proverbs over and over, the talebearer is a revealer of secrets.
Yeah.
It's like we have this intimate conversation, and now you're blabbing it. You're posting it on Facebook. And,
Right.
There it is out there. And
It's
so,
like the Dark Knight is the antithesis of social media.
yes!
It's like, gosh.
You cannot chronicle this
man.
journey on Facebook.
You can't.
Again, that goes
Wow.
back. That goes back to contact, and it goes back to Nolan's. Nolan's from Interstellar.
Yeah.
With both of those, you can start trying to chronicle this.
Yeah.
And maybe that's why he could only do the first.
Yeah.
The first two couple or stanzas in here. Because ultimately, you just have to let the poetry run with you after that. And it does. It carries you. And so you can start trying to chronicle it. And that's a good thing. And thank you, St. John of the Cross, that you tried to actually do this. Because if we just had the poem, we would have just said, it doesn't rhyme.
Right. On that first reading, for sure.
Oh, my gosh, yes. But, yeah.
Man.
That I really appreciate. And I thought of, and so that just started synapses firing in other places. Paul saying, I knew a man in Christ about 14 years ago, whether in the body or out of the body. Here's the key word: I know not.
Yeah.
God knows.
Yeah.
And that such a man, whether in the body or out of the body, I don't know. God knows. He was caught up to the third heaven.
Yeah.
And in paradise, he heard, paradise, pardes, All right, this place where a secret can be shared, intimate, divine intimation, conversation, in which he heard words, and I wrote it down. It's areta remata. Areta is like rhetorical, only it's rhetorical. It cannot be uttered. There are words which cannot be spoken.
Right.
He heard words which are unutterable.
Yeah.
And so I'll boast about this guy, but about myself, and there's a lot of sarcasm and everything laid in there. I mean, Paul's being a bit cheeky through the whole thing because he's probably the guy. But the point is, it's like, this is that kind of revelation.
Yeah.
This isn't something, so many people, we've had folks here, they've had groups in which they're obsessed with accessing the levels of heaven. And it's just like, dude, what do you think you're going to bring something back? You think, and because the place that you're going, this is not something that you're going to be explicating.
Right.
That you're going to, this isn't that, it's that thing. No. I mean, I'm stumbling over words even to try to express this because, yes, there you are.
Well, it would be evident in the way somebody sees you after you've been and you come back and they say, you've changed.
Yes.
And you say, tell me how.
Yes.
Because it's not, I don't think it's your responsibility to be the explainer.
No.
It's your responsibility to go through the thing.
Yes.
And then be evident.
Yes.
For others.
Oh my gosh. Okay, this is Moses.
Yeah.
Coming down from the mountain.
Yeah.
Coming out of the tent of meeting.
Right.
And his face is shining. And all the Israelites are freaking out.
Yeah.
Because he's like radioactive.
Yeah. Well,
and so he puts a veil on. And of course, Paul puts a spin on that and says he put the veil on to show them, so they couldn't see it fading away. Which is
interesting.
Which is a nice little midrash there, Paul. But
I think of Peter on the Mount of Transfiguration, where he's like, "It's good for us to be here. We'll build some tents."
Right.
I gotta do something.
Yes.
This is too much. I've got to contain it somehow.
Let us enshrine the experience. I've encountered this idea recently in just different poetry that I've traversed, and that is we can have almost this sensual greediness that we want to devour a moment.
Yeah.
No, don't do that. Just when we actually had rain this week for the first time in a while,
right.
I walked by a window upstairs and I caught. I actually caught the moisture of it.
Oh yeah.
And then the smell, petrichor, that smell of water on rock and so that smell. And so I just stood there for a moment at that window, and that thought occurred to me is I cannot devour this. This is not meant to. No, but this is something. Enjoy.
Yeah.
And then you move on to the next thing.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly what that is, but it's a learning to be content.
Yes.
And that this is not something, St. John of the Cross, it's amazing that you're able to get out as many words as you did. And it's no wonder that you had to be meandering as you do it, because I would be suspicious of anyone that could do this in an orderly, scientific manner, showing like we're building a rocket.
Step one, step two.
Exactly.
And then, and the danger there is it becomes programmatic for somebody else.
Precisely.
Right? And this is way too individualized.
And that's back to the footnote.
Yeah.
We do not all suffer the same way.
Yeah. We
have different courses of training and different levels of experience.
Yeah. There's one thing that caught me as you read, as St. Thomas says, is communicated and infused into the soul through love. And one of the calls that Christ proposes for communities or people that are following him is that we are to be known in the way that we love one another.
Yes.
Right? And I wonder how much of journeys through the dark night are not mitigated, but supported, or could be supported
Yeah.
by the folks who are with us or next to us
Yeah.
in situations that are doing nothing but loving us.
Yes.
Right? They're not trying to fix a thing. They're not
Yeah.
trying to get us out or put us further in. They're
Yeah.
just saying, like, you look hungry.
Yeah. Yes.
I'll get you some food.
Yes.
Right? Or even, it looks like, you've been sitting around a while. Like, let's go for a walk, or let's,
Right.
let's do this thing over here. Like, just get some motion
Yes.
involved. And it just struck me that there's a thing we can do with each other.
Yes.
Even if one of us are in this thing that is immense and horrible and beautiful and all the things that is a good thing to do, and can be a part of what is meant to be, that is good in a situation like this.
The other thing, because you said you look hungry.
Yeah.
And you can flip that and say, well, it's like Jesus back at the well with the Samaritan woman.
Yeah.
Because it said, if you had asked me, I would have given you living water.
Yeah.
And so you would have had that, and you never would have thirsted again. Now, I don't think Jesus. Now, it says Jesus was weary from the journey.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think he would have been able to make a pitch for living water if he looked like he were about to die and expire. And even when the disciples come back, they're thinking, did somebody give him food?
Right.
And then he says, I have meat to eat that you know not of.
Yeah.
Even as he told the woman, I have water to drink that you know not of. Yeah. But that's not something to be theologically explicated. It was evident in his face. You have been somewhere. It kind of goes back to that. It shows in your face.
Yeah.
It's either Moses, where the face of your skin is radiant, and Paul says, we with unveiled faces reflect the Lord's glory, even as we're being transformed into his likeness from glory to glory and so forth. Yeah. Or the fact that it's Jonathan. Jonathan in the pursuit of the Philistines, 1 Samuel 14. Saul has said, nobody eats today, nobody drinks today until my enemies have been totally vanquished and I have been avenged. Jonathan doesn't hear the oath. He's going through. He's weary. He sees there's honey all over the place on this forest floor, dips his staff, puts it up to his mouth, and it says that his face brightened.
Oh.
That's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Dip in your staff, and it's like, you got some honey. Where can I get me some of that honey? I'll take some of what he's having.
Yep.
And that's what becomes evident. When you know someone has been through the dark night, you're going to know it not because they can recite the poem, which my thought is, because this is my construct, hey, I've got a poem here. Let's memorize it, and I can recite it. Yeah. No, idiot. This is not a poem to be memorized. You can do that. Just knock yourself out. Do that. But it's not a poem to be memorized and recited. I mean, wouldn't that have been marvelous? Wouldn't that have enhanced your 12-hour performance if I had been there and then I had like Orson Welles? I'm trying to think of someone dramatic. Orson Welles. No, James Earl Jones. Yeah. If I had been reciting, my house at last grows still. Oh, that would have been so impressive, wouldn't it? No, idiot. No. This is to be absorbed. And when you've absorbed it, you're going to be wearing the poetry on your face.
Yeah.
And that is I think that's the arc that I traveled this week, was realizing I have the poem. I don't need explication, because now I see and understand. I see it. I see it. Yeah. Would you take a risk when you say that you see? But it's like, I see it. So anyway,
There's exaltation and then there's humility.
yes, there is. There is. So, all right. Hey, not bad for.
That was great.
Was this 4 in the morning? It's 4 a.m. Right? Next week's 5, or next time 5 a.m.
Right.
And 6 a.m.
We're getting there. Almost there.
Dark Night Podcast is a production of the Nema Institute. Our theme music is Principle of Loving by Sam Adams. Please subscribe to the podcast and go to darknightlive.com for more details and to follow Andrew's journey. Thank you for listening.